WrestleMania 42 Night Two, Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium, 50-something thousand people. The very first match of that night didn't start, but then the bell rang. Oba Femi, 27 years old, real built from Nigeria, the emperor or whatever, 3 days away from his 28th birthday apparently. And he shows up, becomes the king of destroyers, and across the ring was his boy, his opponent, Brock Lesnar. 10-time world champion, Beast incarnate, 25 years of making the entire locker room disappear just by showing up. And in under 5 minutes, Oba Femi put him down. And then the moment hit. Brock Lesnar, the man who conquered the UFC, tried out with the NFL, and terrorized WWE for a quarter of a century, sat up in the ring, removed his gloves, took off his boots, left them right there in the ring in the center of the mat. He looked out in the crowd, nearly in tears, raised his arm. Then he walked over to Paul Heyman, and you can read it in his lips clear as day. He's done. So let me ask you something, because it's been the question throughout the week. Is this real? Or is Brock Lesnar working every single one of us for one more run? So let's get into this. Welcome to the Tea Drop. Strong brew, no soft behavior. We're gonna go over the Brock Lesnar Oba Femi match and what are the upcoming storylines after that match leading up to the next big events throughout the year for 2026. Because the receipts from WrestleMania 42 are clear as day. 2 reads on Brock. Retirement versus the slowest possible burn you can think of. What the rub means for Oba Femi's ceiling, the call-off of Roman Reigns, and my prediction on where this can all lead to. So let's get into it. Let me drop everything I know on the table. It was night 2 of WrestleMania 42 in Vegas. Brock versus Oba Femi was one of the most interesting open matches you can think of. Brock versus Oba was the opening match. Even though Heyman said it was the main event, it wasn't not even the co-main event. It wasn't even mid-card. It was the first thing fans got on night 2, which was supposed to be a generational statement. WWE delivered when it came to this match. The match, though, went under 5 minutes, but in those 5 minutes, Oba Femi took the F5, which is Brock's finisher, same move that has put away literally every major name in this business for 25 years. Oba took it and kicked out. Then he hit the fall from grace and finished the beast off. And after that, it's where it gets interesting. Because before even this match happened, other news sources or websites, including Body Slam, confirmed that Brock Lesnar was the one who personally chose Oba Femi as his WrestleMania opponent. WWE pitched multiple names, including LA Knight, but Brock said no. He specifically asked for Oba. He gave WWE his seal of approval, and that was that. Not a small detail when it comes to that. You don't pick someone just to put on a show. He picked the person that he believed will be the next guy after him. Brock Lesnar looked across the entire roster and said, him, that guy, that kid, whoever. And here's another layer to this story. During the match itself, Brock flashed an X sign towards Paul Heyman. What does that X mean? For most of us, it usually means someone's hurt. And most of us thought that when we saw it. But Brock signaled it as his own end in real time. Not scripted as his retirement, but he decided in that moment that he was done. Then Triple H on the post-show called it, and I quote, changing of the guard. They're framing at this point, and it's all there. We're going to run both sides because let's see what 2 sides of the story can tell us. But one of them could be the one that's truly happening. Let's read the first one. The first one is this being real. Brock Lesnar did retire. It's the case of it. 1, Brock is 48 years old, guys. He has beaten his body through 25 years of professional wrestling. He also did 2 UFC championship reigns and an NFL somewhat career. The mileage doesn't just show up on the highlight reel, but it shows up in his body eventually. 2, he told Paul Heyman, I'm done in the ring. Not for a camera, not even through a microphone. It was a private moment he told Heyman, and we just happened to catch it all. When Brock Lesnar tells Paul Heyman he's done, Paul Heyman knows what that means because he reacted. He was crying, man. He knew it was real. It wasn't fairy tale. Now, 3, Meltzer reported that WWE was already planning retirement run for Brock for this year, with the endpoint being SummerSlam, which is what most of us thought, including myself. WrestleMania 42 came though. The moment, I guess, felt right, and Brock moved the timeline up to WrestleMania and not SummerSlam. Point 4, I guess, at this point. Apparently, a fan approached Brock after the event and asked if he ever come back. And Brock's response was, "I'm retired, not." And that's it. He told him, "Stay tuned," or "you never know," because it's wrestling. He said he was done. He's retired. Now, point 5, WWE has been deliberately vague over the past couple days when it came to this. They have not promoted a future return, no rematch, no retired, no what's next for Brock promo kind of thing. They've just been silent about this. And sometimes when it comes to WWE machines, silence is actually the loudest thing you can say. Now, if this is real, that's one of the most dignified exits in the history of the business. No comeback retirement tour, no farewell match dragged out 6 months. Just leave the boots and walk away. How does this not hit your chest when that happened? It's crazy. Now, another thing that could be happening if it's not real, we just have the slowest burn in WWE history at this point. So let's flip the story if this is not the case, what I just said. Brock Lesnar is working every single one of us. And this is the slowest possible burn to maybe the next WrestleMania, because everyone's saying, oh, he might be back because Saudi wants him for WrestleMania. Maybe if they pay him the right fee, he'll come back. But here's the case. 1, WWE never said the word retired. Not once. Triple H said changing of the guard. That is intentional in his point because he's leaving the door open while letting the internet do the marketing for free for him. Number 2, Paul Heyman was asked directly about the retirement at the post-show. His response is, and I need you to pay attention to this. What's my vision? Another 15 years of dominance by Brock Lesnar. Why are you pushing this whole retirement thing? That is not a man saying goodbye. That is a man playing a character. Paul Heyman knows the game better than anybody else alive at this. He doesn't say 15 years unless the 15 years is still on the table. Now, 3, there are reports that are already circulating about a potential WrestleMania 42 return with a price tag somewhere in the high millions. It's them not trying. It's a negotiation number at this point. Who knows if he'll show up? If they pay the right price, he'll show up. 4, maybe the original plan was a longer feud between Oba and Brock, and it got compressed. Why? Maybe creative change. Maybe Brock needed out sooner. Or maybe, and here's what it can be really interesting, maybe the story isn't finished. Maybe you let Oba build credibility against Roman all summer, then Brock comes back for a rematch that now has an entire year of stakes behind it. Or it could be 5. Brock Lesnar's career is built on leaving and returning. He walked away from WWE to go to UFC. He walked away from UFC to come back to WWE. He has done that multiple times. This man has made a sport out of dramatic exits, followed by an even more dramatic entrance. Where in the world can Brock Lesnar leave money and a WrestleMania 43 moment on the table permanently? I'm asking, because that might be it. Now, let me set the retirement debate to the side for a second, because regardless of what Brock does next, we need to talk about what just happened to Oba Femi's ceiling. Because y'all, you cannot buy what Brock Lesnar just gave Oba Femi. You cannot manufacture it in any way. Brock either gives you the rub or he doesn't. There is no in between when it comes to Brock Lesnar. And Brock didn't just let Oba win, he chose him. Out of the entire roster, he pointed at 27-year-old kid from Lagos, Nigeria. A guy who was in NXT less than 2 years ago and said, he's the guy. Oba's post-match promo was exactly what it needed to be. And here's the direct quote from that post-conference or whatever they call it now, post-show. It feels amazing when they ask him about his win. It feels amazing. It's one thing to tell everybody what you are. It's another thing to show everybody what you are. I took 25 years of history, 25 years of the beast, and I made it null. Because I am who I say I am. I am the ruler, the destroyer, the bringer of war, Oba Femi. That's some championship level confidence backed up in real time. And Oba was also honest about some fear. He said, it seemed like I wasn't fazed about his fear going against Brock Lesnar. But at the end of the day, it's Brock Lesnar. I was face. I understood how big the challenge was. But you can't show fear to someone like that. He feasts on fear. Once he knows you're afraid, his confidence rises. And I knew if I showed my fear, it was over for me, which he didn't. That was his strategy for winning. He understood the assignment and delivered. For context though, Oba Femi was literally 4 years old when Brock Lesnar made his WWE debut in the early 2000s. And he just ended that 25-year chapter 3 days before his 28th birthday. If Brock never comes back, Oba Femi will forever be the man who retired the Beast Incarnate. That is a ceiling creating currency for this man. You can't spend it all at once though, but it never gonna lose value at this point. Now, the post conference didn't end just there. Right after the win, same night. During the post show, Oba Femi looked directly at the camera and also called out Roman Reigns. He said 3 words, the OTC can get some. Well, that's not 3 words, that's 5, but the 3 words he's referring to can get some. And of course, Roman Reigns heard every syllable of that. And Roman, at that time, had just beaten CM Punk that same night at the main event and won the World Heavyweight Championship. The crowd was already chanting Oba when he was there, and Oba's gonna take you out during the post show. And Roman's response to all this, you did a big thing tonight, but I've done bigger. Let me ask you something. That is the new monster versus the final or the tribal chief conversation. Think about what this matchup actually represents. Oba Femi, 27 years old, built like something out of a video game at this point, just retired the last era's defining monster, and Roman Reigns. Roman beat Brock Lesnar before multiple times. His entire legacy is on conquering the beast. Now, the man who retired the beast is pointing at Roman. What happens next if Oba beats Roman Reigns? Think about that for a second. Oba built his legacy by ending Brock. If Oba goes over Roman, it doesn't become a potential title win. It becomes a multi-generational passing of the torch. Not only by Brock, but also Roman. That's 2 people that he gets. Brock and Roman in the same moment. Maybe even in the same year at this point. Now, there's been reports saying that Gunther and Oba Femi are both expected to be part of Roman's upcoming feuds post WrestleMania 42. Even to the point that Meltzer is stating that Roman versus Gunther program is also being discussed in the future. It's becoming a reality for him. It's already being mapped. So let's build this. Roman is going full-time this summer. Stated it during the post-show. He said it himself during the WrestleMania 42. He said the part-timer era is over and he'll be on screen consistently until the summer. Which means he needs real feuds with hopefully credible opponents. Here's a runway that can make creative make sense. Let's start with Backlash, because that's the next event. Backlash, it'll be too soon, obviously, for Roman versus Oba, so you need to protect Oba from taking a first big loss before he's established as the main roster. So Roman is going to go through Jacob Fatu, who already issued his challenge on this week's Raw, which keeps what they're, I guess, restarting is the Bloodline thread alive. Now he was on Raw. Roman Reigns was on Raw this week. What are you talking about? Ryusuke. He was on Raw this past week. He was there at the end of the show. He had the last promo. And he's Raw. He's officially Raw brand because of the championship he won. So he was there. He's not going to show up in SmackDown anymore. He's not part of SmackDown. So there's that. Then there's King of the Ring. You build Oba. What I think really should happen is you build Oba through the King of the Ring tournament. You give him a showcase run on the main roster. Let him eat through some credible opponents. You build the audience familiarity with him, at least the main roster familiarity, without burning the Roman program early. And make him win the tournament. You didn't see him on Raw, he was at the end. Now on SummerSlam, that's where Roman versus Oba makes sense as the title match. Summer's biggest premium live event, also 2 days now. And if Brock's retirement run was originally supposed to end at SummerSlam, you can use the storyline thread of Oba is what Brock created to give it even more texture for that feud. The mentor's final work, now a weapon pointed at the tribal chief. Now, if Oba wins at SummerSlam, you got a monster champion, and Roman's next arc is chasing the belt in the fall if he decides to come back. But who knows, after SummerSlam, he might be going to promo Street Fighter, so you might not see him until Royal Rumble season. Who knows? Too early to tell. But if he returns to SummerSlam and he comes back to chase the title, it could be, at Royal Rumble, we could be pivoting towards a WrestleMania 43 rematch with even higher stakes. Now, if Roman wins, you protect the first title reign, world heavyweight title reign of Roman. Oba takes no real damage losing to the OTC, but you still have this program to return to later. So we'll see which one they go with. It's a great story whether Oba wins or loses at SummerSlam. It's how you build the storyline and book it, which will make it solid. So when it comes to all this, my take is that when it comes to Brock, I don't think he's done permanently. I think that moment was real. The emotion was real for that moment. The exhaustion might have been even real. And the decision might have been made mid-match. But I don't believe WrestleMania 42 is the last time we see Brock Lesnar in a WWE ring. It's just too clean, the setup. He handpicked Oba. Heyman is still working. The money is still on the table. Maybe we get Brock Lesnar returning at SummerSlam. Maybe at Royal Rumble. I don't know. Maybe he has one final match at WrestleMania 43 against Oba. If maybe they pay him the right amount of money. Maybe just one match, the rematch that answers the retirement. Maybe. We'll see. Now, when it comes to Oba, his ceiling is the ceiling. The kid is 27 years old, built like a destroyer. He just received the biggest rub available in this company this year. If WWE protects him the way the booking so far suggests they will, Oba Femi is going to be the face of WWE by WrestleMania 44. He's going to be the face, and he's going to be the main contender for anyone to go against him. And that's probably going to be as high as it goes. But let's hear from everyone. Is Brock done, or is this the slowest possible burn to a WrestleMania 43 return? And who wins if Roman and Oba meets this summer at SummerSlam? Drop your take in the comments. Thanks for watching. If the T hit right, hit the like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.